need to understand what is mean by 3D. Okay, so 3D is all about dimensions and perspective. So it's your game is like if your game is able to operate in 3 dimensions that we know of, that is you can say x, y, and z directions, and the perspective tells your mind that the object in your game are 3 dimension. So it's a 3D game. Okay. So the topics to be covered in this webinar is Introduction to Unity 3D Workspace, C# scripting, adding user input from the scripts, finalizing the game, and building the games. So first of all, we, we are discussing about the Introduction to Unity 3D. Okay, so Unity 3D is a powerful closed platform game creation system developed by Unity Technologies. Okay, so it's used to develop video games for websites, desktop platforms, consoles, and mobile devices as well, in 2D and 3D as well. Okay, so it's very user-friendly development environment. So it's easy enough for the beginners and powerful enough for the experts also. Okay, so Unity should interest anybody who wants to easily create 3D as well as 2D games and applications for the desktop, mobile, web, and consoles also. Okay. So this is the like when we are going to make any kind of game in Unity. So first of all, this is the like window where we need to define the name of the project, location, or either the game is 3D or 2D. Okay. So then after that, we need to click on the create project. Okay. So after that, this is the interface, like this is the Unity 3D workspace, how Unity 3D workspace looks like. Okay, so this is the, okay, so this is the hierarchy window, okay, where we made any kind of game object that will be like any kind of sprites, 2D objects, as well as, and if you want to create any object for UI, that we also create in hierarchy also. Okay, so this is the inspector window where the properties of the game object will shown in this window also. Okay, in this panel the properties of the game object will display. Then after that, this is the project window where all kind of the scripts we are going to make, that scripts and the materials, and you can say there are multiple kinds of animations like that all are saved in the project window, that all are like reflect in the project window as well. Okay, so this is the scene view. Then if we click on the game, then the game view will also open. So this is the hierarchy that I already told you. When I click on the create, okay, then game object, then if you want to create a 3D game object, then click on the cube. Okay, so it will create a 3D object in the hierarchy panel like this. Okay, first of all, click on the create, then 3D object, then cube. If you want to create a sphere, capsule, cylinder, you can also click on that particular game objects also. Okay. Then after that, this is the scene, or you can say the game view also. If you click on the game, then game view will display on the screen as well. Okay, so okay. Then after that is navigating scene view. Like there are many different kind of tools that are available in Unity 3D game engine. So first of all, this is the hand tool. Okay, so that tool like used to click and drag to move scenes and navigate world also. Okay, and the next one is the move tool. So it is used for moving the game object in any directions, you can say. Okay, then next is rotation tool. So this is used when we want to rotate our game object in any direction. Okay, so we can do this with the help of rotate tool. Okay, after that is scale tool. So scale tool is used to scale our game object. Like if you want to like scale our particular game object in a you can say particular size, so you can do this by the help of scale tool. Okay, then after that is rectangle tool. It's mainly used for 2D games and UI elements only. Okay, then last one is universal tool, and it has functionality to move, rotate, and scales also. Okay, so these are the tools available in Unity 3D game engine. Then is inspector window. Okay, this inspector window will show the properties of the particular game object you want to see. Okay, if you will click on any particular game object, then it will reflect the properties of that particular object. Okay, like here is transform, where you can like define the position, rotation, scaling of the object as well, and you can also adding multiple, you can say multiple components as mesh, render, box, collider, and here is a add component button where you can click and add any kind of component you need to, like you need that. If you need any particular components, then you can add simply by the help of this. If you want to create any script, you can say, then simply click on add component, then new script, and you have to write the name of that particular script and click on add and create the script. Okay, you like can you can do multiple things with the help of this panel. Okay, after that is project window that I already told you. Then is asset store. So Unity has already a asset store, inbuilt asset store also. So you can also see it from there. Window, click on window, then general, then asset store. And then asset store will appears in the Unity engine. Okay. Then next is prefabs. Okay, so what is prefabs first of all? So prefabs are used whenever you want to have multiple objects of the same type. Okay, in any game, if you are creating any kind of game, if you need multiple objects of the same type, then prefabs are used. Okay, so in like in our multiple, you can say in my game, I need multiple objects. Okay, so I need to create a prefab of that particular object, and that prefab will, like if used, if I need to change something like the properties of my objects, game objects, then I simply click on the prefab and change that properties in that particular prefab. Okay, then it will reflect in those all like objects that we create using prefabs. Okay, so prefab is simply like the copy of the game object, you can say. Okay, it's something like the copy of the game object. If you want to create the duplicate copies of the game object, then you can use prefabs in your game. Okay. So now we will create a 3D game. We will try to create a 3D game in Unity. Just a second. Is it visible?
Guys, responded.
Yes, yes, it is. Yes, it is visible.
Yeah,
Okay.
Manisha, you can go ahead.
Yeah, sir. Yeah. Okay. So first of all, if I want to create any kind of 3D game, so first of all, I need to go to hierarchy window. So here is the hierarchy panel. Okay. So this displays all the different game objects that we have in our scene. Okay. So right now we have only main camera and directional window, directional light, sorry. So when I click on any object, say for example, I click on the main camera first. So the inspector will display properties for that here, right? You can see the properties of main camera in the inspector panel. Okay, so each one of these, you can say these are the collapsible things, right? These are also the collapsible things, you can see it in the inspector panel. So each one of these collapsible things, here all components are what makes objects do different things. Okay, so project panel is here, right? So project panel down is, you can say it shows all of our different game assets that we can then drag into our scene and making them appears in the hierarchy. Okay, so now let's start building our game first. Okay, so we want to create a ground plane first. If we want to create a ground plane, so I need to right click and then click on the 3D object and select cube, for example, and first rename it as ground. If I want to create a ground first in my game, so I need to rename it as ground. Okay, perfect. So after that, simply double click on the ground, or you can simply press F key on your keyboard. Okay. So okay, so it will also you can see in the game panel also. Okay, you game view also you can see it from there. Okay, so first I need to scale it like that. It will looks like a ground. Okay, so for that I will scale it something like, for example, for 15. Okay, and in y direction set it to 1. Okay, and in z say 100. So this will looks more like a ground now. Okay, yeah, so you can see it from there. Okay, so after that what I need to do is I need to create a player. Okay, so for that I need to click on 3D object cube and rename it as player. Okay. Okay. So these same things we have to do it for player also. Okay. So my when I click on double click on this, then I have to slightly pick it up. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So after that, then we need to assign a new material to our player also, so that it will it will look different from our ground. Okay, so then go to the asset, right click, create material. Okay, say player mat. Okay, then go to the inspector window and set a color for that. For example, I set it to red and simply drag this onto the player. Okay, so it will show you like this. Okay, so then I need to set the main camera. Okay, so that it will like looks more realistic. Okay, so go to the main camera and change its position slightly. It's like change it to something like 0 in x direction, 2 in y direction, say, for example, and suppose -6 in uh, yeah, something like this. Okay, so yeah, now it's look more like a realistic game. Okay, so now also we need to add rigid body to our player also. Okay, if we want to do if you want to interact, if we want to like do our player is interact with the Unity physics system, so we need to add rigid body here. So go to the player inspector window and add rigid body here. So rigid body is already added to this player. Okay, so after that, now we will get started programming in C sharp. Okay, so we will have a look at how you can change properties or even add, you can say, forces to an object. So I'm really excited. Okay, so let's start. So whenever we want to program in Unity, we create a script, right? So first go to the player. Okay, in inspector window, click on add component, new script, and give it name like player movement, something like this. Player movement, player move. Okay, create a net and just open it by double click on this. Double click on this and it will open it you in Visual Studio. Okay, so now I'm going to write C# scripting here for the movement. Okay. Take too much time. Okay, I'm trying again. Now we create a script, new script. Okay. Yeah, so it's open now. Okay. So now I have to write a script for the player movement also. Okay. So for that, first I declare a public variable. You can say public. Okay. And the name of the component that we need to modify. So in my case, it's rigid body. Okay. Then after that, we have to give this reference a name. Any name. You can give any name as a reference to your component that you need to modify. So in my case, for example, it's RB. Okay. So yeah. So after that, we don't need the start function. Okay, because we want to add constant forces in order to move our object forward. Okay, to do that, we can't use the start function, right? Remember, this is only called once. The start function only called once. So when we start the game, okay, so that's why we don't need, we don't want to use start functions right now. So I'm deleting this. Okay. Now, yeah. So however, our update function is called once per frame, right? The update function is called once per frame. That means whenever the computer draws a new image, and it does this multiple times a second, right? So this function is going to run. Okay. So let's try RB. That is the name of the reference. Okay, dot, I want to add the force. Okay, so I want to add the function name add force. Okay, so yeah, so add force function wants to know how much force it should add in different directions. Okay, so I need to define there. Okay, so first I want to move it in x direction, say 0, 0, suppose 2000, let's suppose. Okay, and I need to multiply it with time dot delta time, because time dot delta time is the amount of seconds since the computer drew the last frame. Okay, so if you can say, so if the update is running 10 times per frame, for example, then this value is going to be 0.1. And suppose if it's running 20 times a second, then this value is going to be 0.5. So higher the frame rate, you can say, lower the value is going to get. Okay, and therefore that you would get if you were running on a good computer. Okay, and instead of update, wait, first I need to add time dot delta time. here time dot delta time, yeah, and end it with semicolon, yeah. So instead of update, we need fixed update. Why? Because in Unity, fixed update is used for calculating physics system. Okay, so just make sure whenever you do physics stuff, okay, so if you are adding forces or changing the velocity, then do it inside the fixed update, right? So that's why instead of update, I'm writing fixed update. Okay, yeah. Okay, so save it and go to the Unity window. Yeah. So you can see in the inspector window, there is a a public variable that I already made rigid body RB. It's already visible in the inspector window. So what I need to do is I need to just take this rigid body and drag it in RB. Okay. Yeah. So now click on play. Yeah. Something like this. Okay. It's rolling on the floor. Okay. So till now, we made our cube fly forward by adding a force, right? So now a primary issue with this is our player doesn't stay on the ground. See, it doesn't stay on the ground, right? Up, so he just starts rotating and jumping and goes crazy, right? So it goes crazy. Okay, so one way to fix this is to go to the player, okay, and find the rigid body and add some constraint. How? Go to the player, okay, find constraint, yeah, here is a freeze position and freeze rotation, okay. So for example, when I click on freeze rotation in x-axis, say, yeah, when I tick this in x position, okay, so when I play this now, so it's going to look cool, right? But instead of this, let's create a physics material. Okay, so what is the reason behind this? Why we need to create a physics material? Okay, if I just click on the constraint and freeze rotation x, then it also goes smooth on the ground. But why we need physics material now? So the reason for the cube jumping around is by default, right? So there is, you can say, there is a friction between the cube and ground. So that's why it's rotating, jumping, and goes crazy on the floor, right? So by using a physics material, we can choose how much friction we want, right? So that's why we need to create a physics material. Okay. So for that purpose, what I need to do is go to the project panel, okay, and right click, create what? Physics material. Okay. Yeah. And name it something like slippery. Okay. Slippery. Yeah. Okay, and we can set both static and dynamic friction to 0. Okay, first we want to we want to give this dynamic and static friction to 0. Okay, then after that what I need to do is, after that, just click on the slippery and just drag it on the ground. Okay, and when you click on ground, so you can see yeah. Okay, yeah, you can see it here, material is slippery. So it's already added to the ground. Okay, when I drag it on the ground, so it's added. So now when I, yeah, okay. So now create a variable. Go to your script, first of all, when I click on play, yeah, it's got smooth now. Okay, with the help of slippery, with the help of that physics material, it goes smooth. Okay. So now, what I need to do is, create a variable. Okay, go to your script again. Yeah, here, and create a create a variable here. Let's suppose public. I'm creating a public variable that is of float type. Okay, say float, and I am creating it for forward direction. Okay, so suppose FWD force. Okay, yeah. So by default it is equal to 2000 in my case. Okay. Yeah. So instead of writing 2000 here, I'm just copy this variable name, yeah, and paste it here. So by default, it will take the 2000 value. Okay. But you can also change it from here in the Unity window. Yeah, when you click on player, yeah. So here you can see a forward force. You can also change it manually. Okay, you can also set it to 1000 also. Yeah, 1000. Okay, you can also change it manually now. Okay. So, okay, go to the script again. Yeah. So it looks fine now. Yeah. So now I need to add the movement. Okay. So now it's time to have a look at doing some user input. So how can we add the user input through the scripts? Okay. We need to know that also. Okay. So the fundamental thing to understand when doing player input is the if statement. Okay. Do you know about the if statement? Okay, so if statement is allow you to execute code if a certain condition is met, right? So yeah, so when I write if, okay, if some condition, yeah, something like this, so it will only execute this anything written here will only execute when this condition is true. Okay, so if will only execute the code in that condition only. Okay, if something like if certain condition is met, then it execute the code. Okay, so what I need to do is now I want my game object will move in for like left direction also, right direction also. When I click on like particular key, then it will move to right direction. When I click on suppose A, then it will move to left direction. So how can we do that? Okay, so now I'm telling you the thing. Okay, the scenario is if the input, say input dot, the function used for this is get key. Okay, so get key. So which key I want to use, I'm writing here. Okay, in double quotes because that is a string. Okay, so I have to write the key we want. Which key I want to like move in particular direction. When I press on that key, then it will move to right direction. When I press on A, then it will move to left direction. How can we do that? So if input dot get key, suppose get key in my case is D. So when I click on D, it will move to certain direction. So which direction I need to write it here. Okay, so RB dot add force. Okay, we need to add the force. Okay, yeah, so suppose in my case, yeah, here is the x direction. Yeah, so I need to move to x direction first. Okay, when I click on D key, then it will move to x direction. So I need to give some value in x direction only. So suppose I'm giving 500 in x direction, comma 0, comma 0. Okay, so yeah, so now I also need to multiply this direction to time dot delta time, same as the previous one. Okay, so time dot delta time. Okay, I need to end this statement with a semicolon. Yeah, so same I copy. Okay, and paste it here. And yeah, first I need to move it in x direction, then in z direction. Yeah, so yeah, okay, so for z direction I need to define another key. So okay, it's a. Let's suppose a is the another key. So if I want to move my player in opposite direction, okay, so simply I need to write minus here. Okay, so it will move in opposite direction when I click on a. Okay, if 500 is in forward direction and minus 500 is in left direction. Okay, one is in right direction, another one is in left direction. Okay, yeah, so okay, when I save this and try it in Unity, okay, save this scene. Okay, some error. Okay, I need to close the bracket also. Yeah, I forgot somehow. Okay, so save this program. Okay, go to the Unity panel. Okay, and when I click on play, okay, so see, oh, the speed is very fast. Yeah, so I need to first reduce the forward force to something like 500. Okay, so yeah, so when I click on A, it will move to, yeah, it looks fine now. Yes, so it's working fine. Okay, when I click on A, it will move to left direction. When I click on D, it will move to right direction. Okay, with the forward force of 500. You can define it by like by your own. Okay, like how you can move, you want to move your player in forward direction. Okay, yeah, so now next work is I again copy this code. Okay, and paste it here.
New voice.
Yeah, okay. So something like when I click on space, then it will jump. My player will jump when I click on space. Okay, I need to add this also in my 3D game if I need to add. Okay, so it will looks more realistic when I add this. Okay, so yeah, I'm writing space here. So when I click on space, then yeah, in y direction I have to move to y direction. Okay, so write 0 here. Then after that, yeah, so right here, suppose 1000. I'm giving 1000. Okay, yeah, and I need to multiply it with time dot delta time. Okay, yes, so save it and now try it in Unity. Okay, to see it will jump or not. Yeah, it's working fine. Okay, so yes, working fine. So in our case, it works perfectly. But as soon as we want to do stuff like something player input, supporting alternative keys, or maybe even a controller, right? So Unity has some better ways to handle the player input also. Okay, so this is the simple one. Okay, I'm giving you the simple one. Okay, so now the next step is the camera follow. Like we make it follow. We make the camera follow only when the position of the player. Okay, using a script. Yeah. So what I need to do is go to the main camera. Okay. something like this. Okay, then add component, create a new script, and I'm creating a camera follow script. Okay, so name it something like follow camera, follow cam. Okay, so you can say, yeah, okay, click, double click on follow cam, and it will open in Visual Studio. Okay, so now what I need to do is, our player will, like camera will follow the player movement. Okay, our camera will follow the player movement. So how can we do that? First of all, open the script and then remove this start function. We don't want this now, right now. Okay, so first create a public variable, public, and now the, the basic data type stuff like float, int, string, that stores numbers and text, right? But the variables can actually also store the way more complicated stuff. Okay, so if we go ahead and write transform here, okay, I'm writing transform here. Okay, so transform, here we can basically get a link to a player, okay, with information about its position. So I'm writing here is transform, okay, and player. Okay, the position of the player. I need to assess the position of the player through camera. Okay, because the camera is need to follow the player position, right? So for that purpose, player is the reference to this transform component. Okay, so reference is, you can say it's the reference to this component transform. Okay, yeah. So now I'm writing here transform dot position, transform dot position, okay, equal to player dot position. Okay, this script is applied on main camera, right? So I need to write transform dot position equal to player dot position. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Yes. And now try it in Unity. When I click on play, first you need to drag the player in this as a reference. Okay, so take this player and drag it in this. Yeah, perfect. Okay, save this scene and play. Okay, something like this. Okay, yeah, so the problem is we need to add another variable also. Okay, that is vector 3D, vector 3. So what is the main purpose of vector 3? So vector 3 stores 3 numbers, right? Float stores only like decimal number, one decimal number you can say, but the vector 3 stores 3 numbers. Okay, so name it something like offset. Okay, why the problem is happening? Due to this. Okay, so we need to add this offset. Okay, so we need to add this offset to the player position. Okay, so how can we do that? Is player dot position plus we need to add offset here. Okay, so the now the question arises here is, what is offset now? Okay, so okay, I'm showing you now. Go to the Unity engine. Okay, now see, here is the offset. Okay, where you can define the 3 numbers. Okay, it stores 3 numbers because you already declare it as vector 3. Okay, so it can define, it can, you can, so it can store 3 numbers. Okay, So simply you can give the like in y direction you can give 1 if, for example, say in that direction if you give something like -5. Okay, you can also give it manually also, -5. Okay, so what it will do is, this is the main camera transform. Okay, so here is 0. Okay, so this 0 will add on with this 0. Okay, sorry, this 0 will add on to this offset x axis 0. Okay, then offset 1, that is in y direction, it will add on to player's position, that is 1.04. So it will add on to this value. Then in z direction there is a -7.92, so it will add with this -5 in z direction. Okay, so this will, okay, when I click on, yeah, now it's fine. Okay, yes. So when we click on play, so our camera should follow our player, right? So with the, you can say, I'm clicking again. Yeah, see, our camera should follow the player with the offset position, and this is much better. Okay, so therefore if we tilt off ground here, so you can see the cube rotating but camera staying in place. Okay, you can see here. See, you can see the cube is like flying in the air, but the camera is staying in place, right? So now the next step is, now we are creating the obstacles. Okay, now the player goes smoothly and fine. It will like it is also working fine. So now we are creating the obstacles. Okay, so in player, go to the player. Okay, adding, first of all, create a new game object. Okay, something like cube. Okay, double click. Okay, yeah, so give it a material first, so that it can differentiate, we can differentiate it from the player. Okay, so give it a material, create a material first, material something like obstacle mat. Yeah, so yes, okay, so I'm giving it a blue color. Yes, so rename it as obstacle first. Okay, obstacle. Yeah, so click on the obstacle first. Okay, so you need to scale it something like um, 2 in x direction, say. Yeah, okay, so I already create an obstacle for this. Okay, so we can move it something like in a right and left direction also. So it's my call. Okay, so yeah, yes, okay, something like this. Okay, so scale it. See. Yeah, now it's fine. Okay, so now I have to create a script for this also. Okay, collider script for this also. Like when the player will collide with the obstacle, then the game, like the player movement script will close, and you can say the game will over. anything you want to like do with your game, you can do it with the help of script. Okay, so go to the player. Okay, add a new script here. Okay, just name it as player collider, say. Okay, we need to add collider. Yeah, and just double click on this. Yes. Yes, it's open now. Okay, so what we need to add is, first we need to define a variable for, okay, so I want that when my player will collide with any kind of obstacle, then something will happen. Okay, so for that purpose, I'm defining here a variable of public type. Okay, so then I need to write the script name because I want to access that particular script, that is player movement script, as it is. Okay, in this, okay, so I am writing here the name of the script, another script, that is the movement script, as it is, that is player move. Okay, this is the script name, and then after that we need to give it name as movement. Okay. Mm, yes, move, something like this. Okay, yeah. So after that, we don't want these functions now, because for collider, for adding collider in our game, okay, we need to, sorry, we need to add a function called void on collision enter, this function. Okay, so this on collision enter, we don't want it as a private. Okay, yeah, so on collision enter, what, why it is called, okay, when it will called, you can say, so it will called whenever two objects collide. So whenever the two objects collide, this function will call. Okay, whenever the two objects, you can say, will collide, then this on collision enter function called. Okay, so you need to define some name here, say collision. Let's suppose collision info. Okay, yeah. So now when the two objects collide, okay, so then this condition will run. So I'm writing here as if collision, sorry, if collision info, in my case it's collision info, the name is collision info, so that's why I'm writing here as a collision info dot collider dot name, for example. Okay, so name is equal to obstacle. Yeah, in my case, when this, yeah, obstacle in capital. Yeah, so when this player will collide with this name, that's called obstacle. Okay, yeah, sorry. Okay, so if collision info dot collider dot name equal to this string, okay, obstacle, then what I want first is debug dot log. First I need to print it in console window. So that's why I'm writing debug.log here. Okay. So debug.log, we hit an obstacle, something like this. Okay. So close it with semicolon. Okay. First of all, check this. Yeah. Save it. Open the console window. Collision info, it's giving error. Okay. Yeah, now it's fine. Okay, so now save it and play again. Oops, wait, it's not colliding. Yeah, now, yeah, see, we hit an obstacle. When the player collides with any obstacle, then it gives a message like we hit an obstacle, right? Okay, so now it's going fine. So now what I need to add is, here is movement. I want when the player will collide with any obstacle, then the player movement, then this, see, this player movement, this player movement script will turned off. Okay. When this player will collide with this obstacle, then after that this player movement script will off. I need to do this. Okay. So for that purpose, I'm writing here as movement when if collider dot name equal to obstacle, when it will collide with obstacle. Okay, this name, this string. Okay, that's I define here, that also define here. Okay, so movement, in my case it's move. Okay, so move dot enabled, okay, equal to false. This I need to do in my code. Yeah, so close it with semicolon. Yeah, so now try this again. Yes. So see, you can see it here. Yes. When I click on player, when it collide with this obstacle, something. Okay. I'm not giving the I was not giving the reference to this move. Okay. So I need to give the reference first. Yeah. So okay. So I need to just drag this player movement script in this variable, okay, as a reference, okay, and save it and now play it again. Yeah, see, when the player is collide with this obstacle, okay, then this player movement script is off. Okay, right? Understood? Okay, so yeah, it's working fine now. Yeah, so go to the script. Yes. So I'm telling you again, this if collision info dot collider name equal to obstacles. Okay, instead of this, if I want to create multiple obstacles in my case, okay, here is only one obstacle and I need to create a multiple obstacles. Okay, so how can we add that obstacle? So see, if I want to wait. Yeah, okay. So if I want to add multiple obstacles in my game, so I need to create a prefab. Okay, so now I need to create a prefabs for the obstacles. Okay, so for that purpose, what I need to do is first take this obstacle, okay, and simply drag it in the project panel. Okay, so this will create a prefab. Right, see, this will create a prefab. Okay, so prefabs I already told you कि these are used whenever you want to have multiple objects of the same type. Okay, so in our case we want to have a lot of different obstacles in our scene. So what we can do now is take the prefab from the project window, okay, and drag it to the scene. So see, I'm dragging it in my scene. So where I want to like place, I can place it. Okay, yeah. So if I can, I want to place it in this position, then I can simply drag it on and drop it on the ground in scene. Okay. So the good thing, you can say the good thing is if we know go to our obstacle and change the setting. Okay, so what is the, you can say what is the importance of prefab here? Okay, so the importance is ki if we now go to our obstacle, this is the obstacle. Okay, and when I like do any change in the settings, say suppose I'm scaling it as 5. Okay, and save it. So it will like reflect in both of the obstacle, right? So okay, so you can see it updating of updating all the objects at once, right? Okay, so yeah, that's why we need prefabs. Now we need to extend our ground plane also. So first I want more obstacles in my game. So yeah, yes, okay, something like this. Okay, here I want to put the obstacle here, one more obstacle. Sorry. Yeah. Suppose something like this. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Something like this. So now we need to extend our ground plane also. Okay, because see, here we need to extend our ground plane also. So what I need to do is go to the ground, select ground object, then scale it. Okay, so scale it something like here is 100, so I'm giving it as 10,000. Suppose. Okay, yeah. So now it will extend. See. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So scaling it back to 2. Yeah. And go to the ground. Okay. And extend it something like 15, scale it something like 15 in x direction, 1 in y direction, and 10,000 suppose in the z direction. Okay, so I need to like set the position also. Okay, the ground position also. So suppose in x direction I need 0, y direction I need 0, 10, then suppose in the z direction I need 4,000, say. No, 4, 4,900, say 50, for example. Okay, so we can add anything instead of obstacles, like you can say, see, here is the multiple obstacles, you see. You can see here the multiple obstacles. You can add any number of obstacles in your game. Okay, so we can add anything instead of these obstacles. You can add coins, you can add number of trees. Okay, any kind of obstacles you can place here, any kind of thing. Okay, so when we are moving right and to the left, it feels very, yeah, when I click on play, see, yeah, goes fine. I need to add more obstacle now because the ground is too bigger now. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. So see, when we moving, when we're moving right and the left, it feels very non-responsive. That is because when we adding a force to an object over time, so it slowly build up the momentum, right? So we then change the direction. We have to wait for the objects to build up enough force to do so. Okay, so that for that case, there is where the force modes comes in nearly. Okay, so for that purpose, actually, it allows us to specify in which way we should add a force, and we do that as a fourth parameter. Okay, so this non-responsiveness is there, some non-responsiveness is there. So for that purpose, we need to go to our player movement script again. Okay, so this is the player movement script, and we need to add the fourth parameter here. Okay, for for that, because of that non-responsiveness, we need to add fourth parameter here, that is the force mode. Sorry. Okay, so here we need to add force mode. Okay. Dot. So see, we can also check the acceleration, give the force, impulse, and velocity change. So in this case, we need to write force mode dot velocity change. So velocity change will, what it will do is it directly edits the velocity of the objects and ignore its mass. Okay, so that's why I need to add velocity change in this case. So force mode dot velocity change will do directly, it will do directly edits the velocity of object. Okay, so when I add this in my script, so it directly edits the velocity of the object and ignore its mass. Okay, so copy this and paste the same in the rest of the scripts also. Rest of the function, that is okay, yes. And here also we need to add the fourth parameter, that is force mode dot velocity change. So velocity change edits velocity of the object. Okay, because the non-responsiveness is there, some non-responsiveness is there, so that's why we need to add the velocity of the object. Okay, so it ignore its mass. Okay, so now go to the unity panel again, unity window. Okay, so select the player, see here the um, okay, okay, yeah, one thing I need to do here is, yeah, here I want to declare one more variable. Why so? Because of this, I'm instead of writing here 500 manually 500. Okay, so it's by default the speed is 500. Okay, so that's why I am creating a new variable here, that is a float type. Say name is side force. Okay, side force. So by default, suppose it is equal to 500. Say, okay. So instead of writing 500 here, I can also write side force here, right? Yes. Okay. So now go to the Unity window. So see, here is a one is forward force. Wait, sounds updating. Yeah, wait. Just a minute. Public float side forms equal to 500. Instead of writing here, side forms. What's the problem? Okay. Okay, so for the time being, I'm writing here as it is I'm commenting this. Yeah. Please, for the timing I'm writing as it is. Okay. So you can also declare it as it is like forward force. I'm declaring here the forward force. Okay. So uh, instead of writing here the 2000, you can also write forward force here. Okay. So manually you can give the forward force from here. Okay. Manually you can give it 500, 1000. Okay. Yeah. So next step is go to the player, okay, and then after that what you need to do is, first of all, in obstacle, yeah. So go to the player, okay, then here is a rigid body and here is a function called drag. Okay. So give it the value as 1 because drag is a air resistance. Okay. So higher the drag, more quickly our object is going to be stopped by the air. Right. So that's why I'm like giving it the value as 1. Okay. So drag, remember the drag is a air resistive. Okay. It's an air resistance component. Okay. So higher the drag, more quickly our object is going to be stopped by air. So now what I need to do is, now go to window, okay, yeah, lighting setting, okay, and here is a thing called, here in other setting there is a fog option. Okay, so when I click on fog, okay, so what it will do is save it, okay, first, and play. Okay, there is an extra bracket here, so that's why it's giving an error. Save it, okay, and go to the Unity panel again. Yeah, now click on play. So we can also add, wait, speed is very high. We need to like lower the speed. Okay, so forward force is something like, yeah, we can give the sideways force to, let's suppose 50. Okay. 500 is too large, so that's why it's happening. Yeah. Now Yeah, it's fine. So see, we can add the force. Sorry, we can add the fog. Okay, so of any color. Okay, with the help of this lighting function. Okay, go to the window rendering lighting option. You can also drag it here. Okay, and here is the option of fog. Yeah, and you can also set the color of the fog from here. Okay, so in my case it's set to gray color. So see, here is a gray color fog visible. Is it visible to all now? Okay, so here is a fog option also. So I already added the fog in my game. Okay, so it looks cool. Yeah, so now the next step is I need to add the scores also. Okay, so for that purpose what I need to do is go to the hierarchy panel. Okay, and right click UI, then is text first. Okay, so it will, to get more accurate, you can say the physics detection, we select the obstacles and choose first of all, yeah, to choose, yes, from here collision detection, go to the layer and yeah, okay. So yes, here is a collision detection option. So you need to set it to continuous for player as well as obstacle also. Okay, first go to the inspector window. Already, sorry. Okay, so see, here the canvas is created. See, so canvas, what is canvas? So canvas here, it's a place to display all our different UI elements, okay, and the text objects, right? So that's why when I create the text for the like text object, you right, so it will create in the canvas window. Okay, so it's the place to display all our different UI elements, right? And the text objects allows us to configure our text. This text object will allow us to configure our text. Okay, so first I need to set this position also. Set the position, yeah. Okay, so I'm deleting the name from here. Say suppose by default it's 0, right? And I can also change the font style of this from here. Okay, I can set it to bold as well as italic as well as bold and italic. Okay, so I can also increase the font size also. Okay, yeah, so okay, so yeah, and from here we can also select to overflow. Overflow means like when I'm writing something here, yeah, this is overflow like this. Okay, so yes, okay, so now what I need to do is, this is the text I'm created to show the scores. Okay, scores of the player. So for that I need to create one script also. Okay, for that I need to create a script also. Okay, so here add component, new script, and name it something like score. Okay, yeah, now it's not opening yet. Yes. Yes, it's open now. So what I need to do for scores, purpose. So for that purpose, first I need to declare one variable of public type, public, and transform. Why transform? I already explained you. Okay. So transform because we want position of the player, right? What is the position of the player? Okay. So that's why I declare it as transform. Okay. So then after that transform player. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, something like this. Okay. So now I'm deleting this portion and we don't need this. Okay. So yeah, in update function, what we need to, yeah, first I need to add one more variable. I need to declare one more variable of public type. So public text. Yeah. Public text. Why text? Because name of the component that is responsible for text is text, right? See here, the name is text, right? Here the name is text, so that's why I'm declaring it as text. Okay, because text is the name of the component that is responsible for text. Okay, so we make it of text type. Okay, so we give it a reference name as score text, for example, score text. Okay, close it with the help of semicolon. Okay, so in update function, what we need to do is code text. Yeah, this code text that I already declared. Okay, dot text equal to player. Okay, dot position dot yeah. Okay, so here I need to write z. Okay, so z is 0 initially. Okay, yeah. So it's giving an error because when I need to work with the UI element, so I need to declare a header file here that is using Unity engine dot UI. That's why it's giving an error. So then Unity engine dot UI. Yes, now it's fine. See, there it is going. Yeah, perfect. So, yeah. So now it is giving error because we need to convert it into string. Okay, so we need to convert this text into string. So for that purpose we need to write here player.position.z.toString. Yeah, this is the function that is used to convert it into string. Okay, so here I need to define the string. Initially it's 0. Okay, yeah, now it's fine. Okay, so this text score text dot text, it allows to change the text content. Okay, so this toString will convert it into string. Okay, it will convert it into string. Okay, so save it, go back to Unity. Here is the player where we need to drag this player. Okay, and in score text we need to drag this text in this column. Okay, yeah, and save this and try. Yeah, it's fine now. Yes, perfect. Okay, so now, okay, so now what I need to do is at certain level my level goes end. Okay, so for that purpose, what I need to do is I need to add one more game object. Okay, so here I'm creating a new game object. Okay, 3D game object cube, suppose, and I'm giving it name as end. Okay, at certain level the game will end. When the player will goes to a certain level, the game will end. Okay, so for that purpose I am creating a 3D object called cube, and I am like yes, yes, the cube right now. Okay, okay, reset its position first. Yes, yeah, perfect. Huh? So from where I need to end the game. Yes. Okay. So I want when my player will reach to this level, the game will end. Okay. So here I am adding this empty this game object. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. So okay. So scale it as 15. Yes. Perfect. Yes. So I'm untick this mesh render. Okay. Because I don't want to I don't want that it is like visible to the player. Okay, so yes, that's why I'm simply off this mesh render. Okay, yes, now it's added. So after that, what I need to do is in the same script, this script, in the same script, player collision. In the same script, when the player will collide with this object, the game will end. Okay, so for that, what I need to do is I just copy this function. It's already over now. So yeah, one thing I forgot is I need to add there the tag. Why? Because there is a multiple obstacle here. Okay, there is a multiple obstacle here. So that's why here add tag. Okay, and we need to add a tag here. The name, suppose obstacle. Yeah. Yes. Wait a minute. Yeah. Obstacle. Save. Okay. Yes. So simply I just write, instead of name I am writing here as a tag. So when the tag is equal to obstacle, so it will simply like off the player movement script. Okay, so now I just copy this as it is. Okay, and collider dot, in my case the name is end. Okay, and equal to the string, say, and okay, so what I want, that my scene will load again. Okay, so yeah, for that purpose just I want to load my scene again. When the player will collide with this end game object, the game will end and it will load the scene again from the starting level. Okay, so for that purpose I need to, yeah, first I need to add a header file here that is using Unity engine dot scene management dot when whenever I want to load any kind of scene, first of all we need to add a header file name Unity engine dot scene management, right? So now when if the collision info dot collider dot end equal to end, then this condition will run, that is scene manager dot load scene main. Yeah, wait, I need to check my scene name. Its name is sample scene right now, so yeah, as it is, and copy this name and paste it here. Okay, so it will automatically load the scene. Okay.
Hello. Have you finished?
Yes, yes, sir, already.
Okay. Okay.
The last step, yes.
Okay. Okay. Carry on.
It will check the name. If the name is equal to end, okay, then it will load the scene, same scene again. It will load the same scene again, okay? Yeah, so check this. Yeah. Now, okay. I need to close it with semicolon. Yes, now check this. See, and it goes to certain level. Yes, the scene automatically loads again. Okay, yes. So now, similarly, you can add multiple levels. You can add multiple levels similar to this. Okay, as many as you can. Okay, so you can also add coins, trees instead of obstacle here. Okay, so yeah, so now the next step, last step is building the game. So how can we build the game? Okay, so first of all you need to go to the file, build setting, okay, and add scene here. Then after that, select clear setting, and here you need to add the company name. Suppose in my case, my company name is Manisha, okay, and the product name same, Masterclass, okay. So yeah, so I need to set this. Okay, then after that, my target platform is Windows, right? And architecture is 86-bit. Okay, so yes. So after that, you need to click on build, and it will create a build of this game. You need to give the name. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes. Here. Yes. So it's now it's working fine. So you can build this with the help of this process. Okay. So that's all from my side. If you have any doubts, you can ask. You can either like make multiple levels with the help of this. You can make as many as you can. Okay. Am I audible? Yeah. This will create a build here. See. Okay. So, am I audible? Hello. If you have any doubts, then ask me, please.
Yes, you are audible. Students, if you have any question, any doubt, so please ask. Ma'am is waiting for you because we have to finish this as soon as possible. This is almost 4 past 8. Sorry, 8 past 4. If you have any question, don't hesitate to ask.
If you have
Thanks,
any
Monica
doubts,
ma'am, for this nice session. And
thank,
it was a great session, ma'am. Thank you.
thank you, sir.
Is there any question? Have
Students,
you,
if you have any doubts, you can ask.
yes, yes. If you have any question, any doubt, you can ask. We are waiting for another 2 minutes, and then we will end up this session. Thank you.
Yes, any doubts, students?
I think, guys, we don't have any doubts, so we can close this session. Thank you, Manisha ma'am,
Thank you.
to give this wonderful session to us. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you, students.